So, I'm going to talk about how it's very possible that we have an actual crash in the market. Yes, I said it, an actual crash. And I'm not just talking about what's recently happened with this market where prices have dropped anywhere from 10 to 30%. I mean, that's part of it, right? But I'm talking about a real crash, like, not just the pullback we've seen recently. Like, I'm talking about, okay, new releases MSRP or below. And only one thing really needs to happen, I feel like, at this point. There's, a lot of factors out there that could make this market, see an upturn. There's a lot of arguments you can make. Okay, now, some things you've been hearing probably have been, okay, people are selling now more because of Christmas to get money for presents or whatever. You guys have heard of that. And people say that early next year, tax returns, in history, we've seen, there have been an increase in spending, and therefore, maybe the market goes back up next year. Also, we have the 30th anniversary next year. So there's arguments to be made that, okay, maybe the market doesn't crash. But I think really at this point in time, only one thing really needs to happen for us to possibly get into that point where, okay, we might see some new releases and products get, MSRP or below. If Pokemon decides to start printing more heavily, and obviously that's kind of, I guess, a very vague thing to say, right? More heavily. What is more heavily, right? It could be, is it like a few more percent more than now? Is that more heavily? I don't know, right? It is obviously, I don't know what would need to be the amount they would have to print more to, I guess, cause a crash. But whatever that amount is, if Pokemon, prints more heavily, that it's noticeable, right? Let's say that the Pokemon Center website, I don't know, how much it would need for this to happen. Let's say the Pokemon Center website, it's easy to get all new releases. Things are readily available. Things don't sell out within a couple hours. And let's say all these stores, these local card stores get large amounts of allocation. Whatever that amount is, and it's noticeable they are printing more than before. We could possibly have, a crash and the biggest downturn we've ever seen in history. And why is this the case? And this is not me, trying to, I guess, put fear into the market what may happen. This is just a theory that if Pokemon decides to start printing more heavily, like right now or in the near future, because obviously demand has definitely cooled off, this could happen. So, why? How is it possible we could see a crash or a huge downturn? Well, even now that the market's seen a pullback, there's more demand than ever. If you compare the demand now to how it was a year ago, there's more demand than ever, right? There's lots of new demand. So, with that being said, with there being so much more new demand, when people leave, it will be a larger amount than we ever seen, right? So, let's use an example here. Let's say back then, and these are not actual numbers, these are just, just random numbers, just use as an example. Let's say demand a year ago before the boom was 100,000. Let's say now it's a million. Well, let's say 10% of people leave, or maybe that's a little bit too low of a number. Let's say like 50% of people leave, okay? That'd be 500,000 people. That's a large amount of people. Let's say back then in the previous boom, not this one, let's say the 2021 boom. Let's say there was 100,000 demand, right, before that boom. But, when the boom happened in 2021, there was 500,000 people, not a million like this boom. 50%, let's say, leaves. That's only 250,000. So it's going to be a larger number of people that leave. So the amount of people that leave, it's going to be a larger number. Therefore, the demand amount is going to be a lot bigger, right? So that's definitely a factor that has to be talked about here with how possibly we could see a huge downturn. Is because there's more demand than ever. So when people leave, it's gonna be a lot more people that leave. That's just how it's gonna work, right? And that's how it's very different this time. It's a lot more demand than 2021 boom. Therefore, when people leave, it's gonna be a lot more. The next thing is that the new demand is heavily uneducated about the market. So you look at what's happened recently. A lot of the new demand, a lot of the new people don't understand what's going on right now, right? Things were going so good. Prices were extremely high. New releases were always going up in price, even after, they were coming out being like $250, like Deaths and Rivals, and went up to $450. Like, we were so used to stuff like that happening. But then recently it's not happening. So people, when they see these downturns from the highs we were at, they're heavily affected. I mean, a perfect example of this sort of situation about people being uneducated about the market and not really knowing what's going on, or things like that, is the Charizard X EX UPC. I made a video today showing you guys, and I'll probably talk about it sometime soon here. This product, I think, is a huge wake-up call for a lot of these new investors, scalpers, new demand, right? I mean, that includes everybody. Um, you know, I think it's a huge thing that people see like that are like, wow, what happened, right? Because the amount this product dropped from where it was at on pre-order is drastic. It's over 50% it's dropped. And this is not just some random product. This product was hyped up. Everybody was looking forward to it. And that's why people bought it at $400, $350, $300, $250. And look at where it's at now, $170. It's dropped a lot. So obviously people don't do their due diligence and research about the product or know what's going on. They'll just buy because they think everything goes up. And when it doesn't, they're going to be heavily affected because they're going to look at this like, wow, I just lost all this money. Well, I'm not going to do this anymore. So that's definitely, a reason why also we could have a huge crash, right? Because people are uneducated. They, come across a product they think is extremely good. They overpay for it. They lose 50%. You think after you lose 50% on something, you're going to keep doing that thing? No, right? So people, maybe from a product like this or another set, they're going to leave after because they're going to lose a ton of money, and even just to cut even, they're going to have to wait a while. So that's definitely something that could contribute to a huge downturn. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here is what we've seen in the past couple months when we've started to see, the downturn that we're in now. You see the majority of this market has lost confidence, and look at how people are reacting. Now, I'm not saying that people are reacting irrationally, because there are some reasons and some things to believe of. Maybe possibly, there is a reason to be scared, have, I guess, less confidence before, because there's a lot of things going on right now that are different than we've never seen, that can contribute to this market maybe going down further. Maybe we've already peaked and the market is just down from here. There's a lot of things to say about that. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, or people are just I guess making their decisions irrationally. There's reasons, right, for this to happen, but it goes to show how quickly things can change when the majority of the market loses confidence, because there's very few people right now in this market that are saying that they're super confident what's going to happen like next year or the near future. Many people don't know what's going on because no one knows what's going to happen here. I mean, this is something we've never seen before. This period of downturn is the biggest thing we've seen in the past year of this bull market. And it's kind of hard to say that at this point we're in a bull market. Like, we're obviously not in like a bear market, but we're definitely in a weird spot. We're like in the middle. I would say, if you're, had a chart where, or one side where there's like a bear market and the other side there's a bull market, we're kind of in the middle. Because new release, I mean, Phantasmal Flames, still at what, like 270. That's still expensive, obviously, but prices have gone down since release, unlike what we've seen before. The Charizard X EX UPC has gone down quite a bit. All products, Scarlet and Violet, Mega Evolution, have gone down. Mega Evolution base hasn't gone up. It's at its all-time low. So we're not at a bear market, and Sword and Shield is also going down, obviously. So we're not in a bear market, but we're in the middle of a weird, not bull market, not bear market. It could go either way. So, it is a thing to be cautious about, knowing all these things that possibly we could see a crash. And I'm not trying to scare you guys, right? Because, I mean, I'm not trying to do that. There's no reason for me to do that. But you have to understand that there are possibilities like this. If you look at all the factors, that we could see a bigger downturn we've ever seen, and some people may not be prepared for it. How many people were confident early this year that this whole market would be strong all the way through 2026, and look at that confidence disappear within like a few months. Things can change on a dime. Things you believed before that maybe something was going to happen, things can change very quickly, and you may not believe that anymore. So just be careful, right? If you invest, don't expect short-term gains right now. I've been saying this. we are in unprecedented times. It's very possible the market goes back up next year, but we've been in downturn for a while now, and we have seen no signs of strength. So if Pokemon decides to start printing more heavily anytime soon here, guys, big reprints, huge amount of supply for new sets. I mean, we've seen that with the Charizard UPC right recently. We could see some pretty big price drops, and we've kind of already seen some of those. So it's very possible. Don't think it's not possible, because that's where you lose money, right? You become too confident. So that's all I want to talk about in this video. Like I said, I'm not saying this is highly likely, but if they do decide to start putting out a lot more supply, it's going to change the market, because guess what? We haven't even seen that yet, right? During this downturn market, we haven't gotten any huge restocks, reprints, nothing like that. Imagine what happens when we see that in this market. It's going to do something. So that's all I want to talk about in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.